What's up, guys? You're watching Directed by Dubon. Please make sure that you hit that subscribe button, all right? If you want to see some more Impala videos and some of the other cool shit that we're always doing on this channel. Today, I'm going to be showing you and telling you a little bit about my troubleshooting and fixing my starter in my 1964 Impala SS. All right, so first things first is I walk out to the garage, I go to turn the car on, and the worst thing that you could ever hear in your car is nothing. All I heard was a k-k, and I was like, oh, this sucks. So, basically I'm just gonna run through my quick checklist into what I went through to find out that it was the starter. So if your car's doing the same thing, maybe one of these other things will fix it so you don't have to just go straight to doing the whole starter, because it's not a hard job, it's just time consuming and you gotta have the right tools. First thing that I did was I checked the battery. I unhooked the connectors, I went and got a brand new battery, plugged it in, put it on, it seemed like it was sparking, nothing. So it still had the k-k like sound, so that wasn't it. Next thing that I did was I changed the connectors on the battery, because I figured, okay, let's go small, because that's usually, you gotta take that processor. It's like, you can't just jump to the main thing and jump to conclusions. If I could spend less money and fix this issue, I'm a lot more happy, and you would be too. So the connectors didn't work. I even took the old battery to go check it, and they're like, yeah, dude, this thing's brand new. And I even changed it for an Optima battery. Like all that, like nothing worked. So I'm like, all right. I called up a couple homies. I hit up Long Beach Lloyd, and he's like, listen, dude, it's like, it could be your starter. Why don't you hit it with something? He's like, just whack it with a hammer. And I really couldn't get to the starter. So what I did was I used this putter, because it actually gave me the perfect angle to tap the starter. And I literally just went boom, boom, boom. And I went in the car, I turned it on, and it just cranked right on. So obviously I tapped the starter with the putter to see if that was the problem, and it did turn on. It's not an ultimate fix, but it will help you identify that that is the problem. All right, so my next step was I gotta find a starter. So the main thing you wanna do is make sure that the old starter, once you take it out, matches the new one that you have, because it could look visibly correct, but there could be just one thing that totally just can throw it all off, which is what happened to me. And it really sucked, because it took me like an extra 2 hours to figure out what was wrong with it. And when I tell you what that was, you're gonna be like, so stupid. But yeah, get a new starter and go from there. So what was really cool, I got really lucky. I just went to the Autozone right down the street. I'm like, I need a starter for a 1964 Impala SS, and they had it. I was like, awesome, because it was like Friday, and I just wanted to make sure I had it, especially during this quarantine times. I'm just like, I at least want to be able to turn my car on and drive it around the block and hit some switches or something. But they had it, so that was awesome. One of the other things that I got while I was there that's very important is the universal bolts that go for the starter. So there's different sizes, and it's very important that you get the pack that has 3 sizes and get 2 of them, because it could be a different size, and that's basically what my big issue was that halted me for an extra 2 hours. Next thing that you want to make sure you cover is safety. So safety goggles, check. Jack stands, check. Jack, and you should be good with that. Obviously you're going to need some other hardware, and things like that, but I got these are 4 tons, 2 tons. You can mix them up, it doesn't matter, but the Duralast ones that I got are pretty dope, so they work perfect. I also got this 3 1/4 Duralast jack. So that's basically what you would need for safety. Don't rely on the hydraulics ever. You don't want to be under a car that's jacked up on hydraulics. Whatever you do, I've heard horror stories, and just stay alive, don't get killed. So right here I have my old starter. This thing was good for so long, but it's time to change it. So every now and then, these are those things that, they're kind of annoying to fix, but you just gotta do it. So this is pretty easy to take this out. It's just heavy, you know what I mean? So that's why you wanna make sure that you jack it up, you have room, because you gotta fish this thing out of there. It sits up there like this, and if you're underneath it, you'll end up taking the 2 grounds off. There's only 2 wires. It grounds this little one and this large one. And basically you just want to take those off, and then you're going to fish it down through by the motor and through your fuel lines, and just take it out. But you want to loosen it up a little bit, and that way you can get everything out of there, and that's it. So it's pretty easy. The main thing that you want to check is with your new starter and the old starter that they are the exact same. And I thought mine were. I looked at them, I'm like, okay, they match. I measured the bolt, like I actually got new ones of these bolts right here, and I put them in the old one to compare them with the bolts that were there before, and it was the same length, same thread, everything. I'm like, cool, perfect, so that's gonna be fine. That ended up being a 2-hour delay in the job. I got the wiring in, I put the other starter in there, and then I tightened everything up, and there was like a 2-inch gap. And I'm like, dude, what's wrong with this? I was like, damn it, you know, and I was trying to turn this thing, and I just wasn't thinking logically. But essentially, what had held me up was like, oh, maybe it got cross-threaded or who knows, but that's not what it was. I thought that the starter was the exact same, and there was one thing that was different, and it's these slots. The slots for the bolts, they must have been just like a 2-inch difference that I couldn't tell, shorter. So when I would put these old bolts in, it would tighten it up and it would just be loose. So since there was 3 bolts in the universal bolt kit that I got the middle-sized one, and I put it in and tightened it up, and it was perfect. So it's one of those little things that you can overlook. I should have checked the new bolt with the new starter to double check, because when I put the other one in here, the smaller one in this one, it wouldn't even come through the other side. So I'm like, oh yeah, it's not even long enough to fit. That was the big issue, and it sucks, but hopefully this video will help you with that. You know, just go through the checklist, make sure that, you know, you check some of those other things, because it could be something very simple, or it could be your starter. But hopefully some of this will help you guys out. If you have any questions, I am not a professional mechanic by any means, but I do work on my own shit when I can. And yeah, comment below and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Peace.